Psalm 96, let's call this one Seasons of Joy, in this psalm that once again calls his people to praise him, not simply because of his strength, but because of the seasons of healing he brings. Beginning in verses 1 through 3, it is going to say, sing to the Lord a new song, bless his name, tell of his salvation, declare his glory and his works, for great is the Lord. In verses 4 through 6, it's going to say, greatly he is to be praised, feared above all gods, understanding that, as opposed to worthless idols, he actually made the heavens in splendor and majesty. These things go before him. Strength and beauty are the substance of his sanctuary, as it'll go on to say, ascribe to the Lord glory and strength. The glory due his name, in verses 7 through 9. That'll go on to say, bring an offering, come into his courts with thanksgiving, worship him in holy attire, tremble before him all the earth. This verse 10 will go on to say, the Lord reigns, the world is established, and it will not be moved. He will judge the peoples with equity, as he'll go on in verses 11 through 13 to explain, okay, beyond all the praise, this is why. Based upon that principle of him judging the peoples with equity, it's going to go on to say in verses 11 through 13, not just the peoples, but let the heavens, the earth, the sea, the field and everything in it, and the trees of the forest, likewise rejoice. Why? Because the Lord is coming to judge the world in righteousness and the peoples in faithfulness. Which reminds me of a term that we have used in passing before, that term being collateral damage, a term that Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines as injury inflicted on something other than an intended target, specifically civilian casualties of a military operation, reminding me that beyond its military application, our actions can have collateral damage we don't always see. And so in this chapter where the psalmist is reminding us of the way in which God's presence and specifically his justice causes even the creation to cry out with joy, it reminds me of the kind of leader that God is. Once again, as we mentioned in the beginning of the psalm, he doesn't simply reign in power, he reigns in the kind of power that brings relief even to those things that we would typically overlook as potentially suffering under the collateral damage of our decisions. And so much like we see God leading in this chapter, my prayer for you is my prayer for me, that we allow him to transform us into the kind of people who no longer bring unnecessary collateral damage to those within our sphere of influence, but we become known as the people who actually relieve the collateral damage around us.